Guys, one of the other things we're doing on this job, and I'm sure a lot of people will want a bit of information on these rear brake shoes. Part of this service, we're checking that these are the rear handbrake shoes on the rear of a Prado 120s and 150s all the way through for the last couple of decades basically, and a lot of other cars are very similar. So these are in very good condition. There's still plenty of meat there, which is awesome. They don't need to be changed, and they are quite clean. You want to make sure you clean these when you can after off-roading. These are extremely clean. I'm very impressed with the cleanliness, and Pete, you know this is your vehicle. Very impressed with how well it's been looked after and how clean everything is. But what we're going to do, we're just going to give it, there's a couple things you can do here. You can use, like we use the Kenco heavy duty degreaser. It's a water-based product. You can use that diluted correctly, spray it on, hit it with a pressure washer, wash it off, blow it dry. Or if you want, you can just use, you know, El Cheapo brake cleaner product and literally give it a bit of a, you know, and there's not much it's gonna, there's not much to clean, to be quite honest, because they are so clean. But we're just going to give it a bit of a clean anyway, you know, because that's how we roll. A bit of a blow dry. Hard to show you, whatever, but I don't need to show you too much, right? And the face of the hub I want to clean as well. That's right, I do. Right, and all the mess goes down there in the bottom. Lovely stuff, isn't it, right? So, and the good thing about brake cleaner is you don't need to blow it dry. It'll just evaporate and dry itself up. This job, once this is dry, complete, and we'll get the rotor back on. Now, give you a little bit more information while we're at it. Pretty straightforward to get off. Now, to check these rear brake shoes, you do need to take the whole rear caliper off, including the mounting bracket. Okay, so you don't need to take the caliper off the bracket like we normally do for pads undoing those bolts. Leave that sealed. It's remove the whole bracket, the other two bolts. You'll figure it out, you know. Again, do these repairs at your own risk. Just because I've shown you some little tips and tricks doesn't mean you know everything, how to do the whole job safely. So if you do know and you find this helpful, remember to give us a thumbs up for the information, and subscribe, turn the bell on, and we'll just keep showing you a few jobs. This is a bit of a mixed video, right? We've got other videos on removing and refitting these shoes, and they're quite terrible because I don't profess to be the expert on it. They're very hard to see the clips there. You got that hole to walk through. There's not a lot of room to work with. They are, and to get to these springs, they're a real pain. You know, we get the job done, no problem, but you know, they are quite painful, and if you do a lot you get better at it, and I don't want to get better at it. I don't want to do a lot. So have a look at the video, see. Look, when we did the video, I think I had an assistant here, and we're having a bit of a muck around and a laugh, so we weren't trying too hard. We're probably even trying to make it look hard, you know. But anyway, let's, maybe on the other side I'll show you a bit more about how to get the rotor off. Now, you can have a bit of rust here that causes the rotor, the disc rotor, to stick, and it's a bit hard to get off. So a bit of a tap with a hammer, don't hit the studs, might crack that loose. You can spray some CRC on here if you like. We haven't done that. You can see the marks where we've slid it off, so not too bad. And just gentle taps with a hammer in places that are safe, not on the working surface of the disc rotor. Gentle tap, turn it, gentle tap. We may demonstrate with the other side. All depends how much time we've got. Bada bing, hope you're getting something out of this one. Here we are, we're getting the driver's side off now, so we've got the caliper off, same deal. We don't need to show you that. It's probably in another video or something anyway. That's why I say watch all the videos. It's one piece of the million-piece jigsaw puzzle. Now, traditional ways people remove, this is not a drum brake, it's a disc brake, but it's like got a drum as well with the shoes, and the traditional way is you can get some screws and that on some rotors, and they thread into these little threads here, and that'll push off. That's one way you can do it, but you know, it doesn't always work depending how badly stuck they are, right? It's a bit like using the ball joint spread or popper out or whatever. It doesn't always work. Something, you know, if you've got a good one, and yeah, maybe, but you know, the old tap 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 is the traditional way. So traditional way to move these rotors, could you please demonstrate? I've got an assistant here. Because what happens is, and this one's really hard to turn, but what happens, see that we've already got the movement, but what happens, the rust in that, that's it. So that's cracked loose. I'd put my money on if you grab the rotor here and give it a wiggle, it should move a little bit, yeah. But what we need to do is turn it while we do it. So you can do that, you can turn it and wiggle it. Careful you don't do your fingers and all that. Don't hit any of the studs with a hammer. The other thing you can do that sometimes is a bit easier if you're left-handed is get the hammer what I like to do, now you can't hit the this braking surface, as I said, but just on the corner of the rotor there, really carefully, right, just on that corner, kind of like literally right there, right? And it's not going to damage any of the braking surface. Gentle taps and then turn it a little bit. Sometimes you've got to put the hammer down, and make sure you've got a drone tray of some sort to seal the dust. There's a lot of brake dust and stuff going to be falling out and in the air, so you should probably wear your proper P2 masks when you're doing these sorts of jobs, for sort of fine small particles, and things never work out for you in videos when you want to do it and you want to swear and carry on, but you get that. Anyway, let's have a look in behind here, right? Okay, having a bit of a look around. Alright, we're going to see this one, it's got a locker, L-O-K-K-A, so therefore makes it really hard to turn the rotor. So you just turn it, you look for that, that's it, use the big screwdriver to lever it to turn it, and you're on the studs first, you don't go on the start of the studs, it's not going to damage those threads. Right, gentle taps and turning is the way to do it, guys. It's just a little bit stuck here, the resistance. As I said, you can spray CRC if you like, but we're sort of giving you some examples of some ways you can, different ways to do things, and the tapping generally works better than the spraying. It just sort of makes a fair bit of a mess. The key is you've got to make sure you keep it square. You've got to make sure you keep it square. Now let's have a look here. If you see it sticking, it's in more here and out more there, you've got the whole thing. I'm not saying this is or isn't, but if it gets unsquare, that's where it's going to grip up on those shoes that are inside behind here and risk pulling those and damaging the clips as well. So you've got to get it round to the area that needs help most. Anyway, we're going to get on with it. It's easy when we haven't got cameras in the way and I'm standing in the way. Sorry, mate. And we'll get these off. Hopefully that's helped. Okay, this one on the driver's side, it's been a bit of a pain to get off. And what your main problem is, it wasn't stuck too bad on this area here. It was mainly the shoes were up nice and firm, which I'm surprised they're not worn more, so that's really good. We're going to do a little bit more cleaning here, but obviously we're removing them just to check the thickness of the Handbrake shoes as per the request from the customer, because we don't do that every service, you know. Usually they're fine, but you know, sometimes they need to be checked. It's not a concern. If they go metal to metal, your handbrake's still going to work. It's going to get screechy, then you're going to get a new set. It's a big job anyway. You might as well then just change the shoes. It's not a safety thing either, really. You know, if these go metal to metal, it's not your main brakes, it's just your handbrake, okay? If these were to wear through, you're not driving with these on, you know. You're going to hear a bit more of a squeak, you're going to need adjustment, it's going to get pulled apart, you're going to get new shoes and probably new rotors maybe, or you could, yeah, whatever, you know. Like, it's not a big deal. I'm just trying to show you. If you can't get them off, then through this hole you come to the adjustment. That's what we had to do on this one. There's the adjuster there. Now I'm not going to tell you which way you got to turn it, because it depends what side of the car, and if anyone's worked on it before, if they turn this around, because it can go either way, right, that adjuster there. So if you can look through the hole and turn the wheel so you can see the thread and try and work out which way to turn it, or you just get in here with your screwdriver so you can see the teeth there, and you turn it until it stops if it goes more than 3 turns. Did you get that? Turn it till it stops if it goes more than 3 turns. So if it goes 3 turns, then try and get the wheel off. It's either going to be because you loosened it, not the wheel, the rotor, right? You then try and get it off. If you turn it 2 or 3 or 4 turns and it stops turning, it's probably because you tightened it, and then you grab the rotor and it's just going to be really tight and not move. You know you've tightened it, so then you need to back it off another 3 or 4 turns, whatever you just did, plus an extra couple should be enough to get it off. Anyway, that's the go. It'll get caught up on the shoes, and if you force it, if you try and force these off, you will then pull these clips, the retaining clips that are hidden behind there that are really hard to get to, and yep, you won't be happy. So make sure working on these, just have a check and make sure everything there looks okay. You can spin this around, put this hole and bring it around up to here. That's what we're going to do, and check these before we put it back together. But just try and help guys if they get a bit stuck. Sometimes it can be stuck on this surface here, but not always. Sometimes it just needs the adjustment here backed off a little bit, and that's how you adjust these shoes, not necessarily from the cable. The cable adjustment can do with some adjusting if it's stretched, but from where here, you adjust it here, and if you leave them over adjusted, they're going to wear out in the mud and everything. I've talked to you about that before. Anyway,